A high court in the United Kingdom just dropped a bombshell ruling, and it has serious implications for how police and maybe even our own here in Canada handle their role in politically charged events like pride parades. It's about way more than just rainbows and flags, so let's dig in. This legal case out of the UK hinged on the core principle of police impartiality and whether our public institutions are serving all of us or just a vocal, select few. This was a judicial review, and it challenged the lawfulness of the Northumbria Police Force's active participation in the Newcastle Pride in the City 2024 event, and particularly the decision of the Chief Constable to authorize officers to participate in a manner that the claimant, who is a gender-critical lesbian, argues breached their duty of impartiality. The claimant's name is Lindsay Smith, and she basically argued that the participation, including marching in uniform, displaying the Progress Pride flag, and using a police van with transgender pride colors, associated the police with gender ideology, which conflicts with gender-critical beliefs like hers. She argued that this violated the statutory duty of impartiality owed by police officers under the Police Act 1996, Police Regulations 2003, and other related codes. Smith was backed by witness statements like those of Harry Miller, co-founder of the campaign group called Fair Cop, which advocates to remove politics from policing, and gender-critical professor Kathleen Stock. The defendant was Chief Constable Vanessa Jardine, who maintained that the force's participation was lawful and was part of her discretion. And in fact, she even went so far as to claim that the participation was supported by the public sector equality duty under the Equality Act of 2010. However, the court ultimately found that the chief constable's decision was irrational, both in process because of flawed reasoning, including a misunderstanding of the public sector equality duty, and also flawed in outcome, since the activities were likely to give the impression of partiality, especially to gender-critical members of the public. The court's reasoning and decision is encapsulated in paragraph 136 of the decision. Of course, it does not follow from my view that the defendant was wrong to think that the relevant activities were consistent with the duty of impartiality, that it was therefore irrational for her to reach this conclusion. However, I have already explained that the defendant's reasoning did not provide a rational basis for her decision. After careful consideration, I have also concluded that the effect of the activities challenged by the claimant was sufficiently obvious for the defendant's decision to be outside the range of reasonable decisions open to her, leaving aside the question whether the activities in question would be likely to interfere with the relevant officer's impartial discharge of their duties. On any view, they would be likely to give rise to the impression amongst members of the public that they may do so. Accordingly, in her capacity as the chief officer of the force, which was under her direction and control, and with the particular statutory responsibilities which she had as chief constable, the defendant was bound to decide that such activities could not be authorized. Now, this paragraph articulates well that the court's conclusion was that Chief Constable's decision was ultimately irrational and not backed by any relevant evidence. It highlights the court's finding that the police activities, from marching in uniform to displaying transgender symbols, were likely to create a perception of bias among, again, those gender-critical individuals, breaching their duty of impartiality or neutrality under Police Regulations 2003, while also highlighting the Chief Constable's failure to provide a rational basis for her decision. The court concluded that no reasonable decision-maker could have authorized such activities given their obvious impact on perceived impartiality. Therefore, the courts allowed Smith's claim to move forward in the court. In conclusion, the judge states that this will relate only to the 2024 event and will be a matter for the defendant to consider whether her current proposed approach to the 2025 event should remain as it is. Now, let's bring this into Canada. We've all seen the photos and the videos like this one from York Regional Police's We Belong Pride Breakfast from 2024. And of course, this gem from the Toronto Police this year.
Very exciting to be here this year at the Sailors and Woody's Bar on Church Street in this neighborhood. where it started 25 years ago.
Pride is a time to celebrate community, courage, and most of all, love. Pride is not just a celebration, it is a commemoration of all those efforts, all the past struggles, and to remember that we must continue the work.
We're always trying to make those steps with the community and integrating with the community. This event is one of those steps. 25 years ago, it was hosted here for the very first time in an effort to re-engage the community with the police officers. It is the 25th anniversary this year, and we are just thrilled to be back.
We've seen the RCMP get in on the action, flying the flag of inclusivity like the Canadian flag doesn't already embody that, from Toronto police partaking in the Pride Parade before they were actually barred from doing so, to the Canadian Armed Forces and Veterans Affairs Canada strutting in these parades, uniforms gleaming, sometimes with rainbow badges or decked out patrol cars. It's all sold to us as community engagement, but let's be real. When you have officers marching under banners tied to specific ideology, it's obviously a statement, and I would say a pledge of allegiance. But it's a statement that risks alienating Canadians who, like Smith, hold legally protected beliefs that don't align with the Pride movement's more contested political messaging, like views on gender identity, family structures, or religious values that emphasize traditional norms. Imagine being a woman who's fighting for sex-based rights, say to keep single-sex spaces safe, and you see your local police force waving a flag that's come to symbolize the exact opposite. How impartial do you feel they're going to be when you need them, especially in cases that may very well include infringements into these previously held safe spaces? The UK court was crystal clear. Police have a duty to act impartially. That's not just a suggestion. It's baked into their regulations and codes of ethics. This judge, which is Justice Linden, and the chief constable's decision to let officers parade in Pride was unlawful because it gave the impression that they might not be neutral, especially on hot button issues like gender identity or women's rights. And he called it a major misstep. The chief constable tried to justify all of this under the public sector equality duty, acting like inclusion trumped everything else. But spoiler alert, it doesn't. Equality laws don't give you a free pass to break other legal obligations. So what does this mean for us here in Canada? Well, when our public servants, especially those with the power to enforce the law, visibly align with one side of a divisive debate, what exactly does that do to trust? What happens to this mom worried about her daughter's safety in a changing room, or a parent questioning school policies on gender? Will they feel like the police are there for them too, or just for certain Canadians? This UK ruling is, I would say, a wake-up call. It's a reminder that impartiality just isn't nice to have. It's the bedrock of policing. With other forces following suit, like North Yorkshire Police now banning uniformed members from participating in Pride parades, it's clear that this court decision is a turning point and will potentially have a ricochet effect. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. If you'd like to support our work and get exclusive content, you can do so by subscribing to rebelnewsplus.com. This premium subscription service gives you access to exclusive long-form TV-style shows, documentaries, and a members-only comments section. It's ad-free and has pop-ups limited, so you can sign up and get your exclusive content and subscription today at rebelnewsplus.com.